guys, welcome back. So today's video is going to be a first impression of the Milani Conceal and Perfect Foundation and Concealer. So it's a 2-in-1 product. I got two different colors here because I really wasn't sure about what I was when I saw this at the drugstore. Now, I've got chestnut here and I've got golden toffee. Upon closer inspection, it seems that chestnut is actually going to be the closest color to just my overall complexion because I'm different tones in different areas. And golden toffee is more of like a darker summer tone. So golden toffee definitely has like red undertones, as you can see here. And the chestnut has a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow. So I think that's going to be best for me. This product claims that it is a foundation and concealer in one, as I said before. And on the back, it says it's medium to full coverage, and it's also lightweight, oil-free, long-wearing, water-resistant, and sweat-proof. So I've heard a lot of things about this particular foundation. Number one, I'm already going into this with some with some expectation that it does oxidize a little bit. So you do get a little bit darker. So for my first impression, I am going to actually set it with just some powder, a light powdering, because I'm particularly oily today. Like, I look like I'm glowing here, but I know with foundation, I'm just gonna look like a sweaty mess if I don't set it with powder. So I'm going to do that. And so first off, before we actually get into the actual application, I just wanna go ahead and let you guys know that price point, if you're in the States, this is $9.99. So when I saw that price in Walgreens, I was like, oh, we could be friends. Okay, what's up? Let me just buy two shades because I don't know which one I'm at. So definitely budget friendly for sure. So without any further ado, we'll just get started. Okay, so when I take off the cap, it does have a pump. I showed you guys this in my Sephora and drugstore haul, and I'm going to be using my Morphe 439 brush to put this on, and then I do have a damp beauty blender just to blend things. So we're going to see how full coverage this really is. I don't really have a lot of scars to cover up, so I might try and go on the lighter side, but we'll just feel it out. So first off, I'm putting this on the back of my hand, and I'm just putting it out here, so it's pretty thick already. Perfect. You can see that here. It's very similar to my skin tone. And I'm just gonna... First, primer. We cannot forget primer. Primer is the be-all, end-all. I can't believe I almost forgot that. Jeez Louise. Okay, so just if you're curious, I'm using the Tarte Clean Slate Poreless Primer. So I'm just gonna rub that in. And yeah, I'm really oily today, so the primer is definitely necessary. I'm actually gonna put some on my neck as well because I like to blend my foundation into my neck so that it doesn't look like a stark contrast from base to body. You know what I mean? Okay, so back to the foundation. Now it's on the back of my hand. I've got a little bit on my brush and I'm just going to dab it. Actually looks really nice so far. It does have that red undertone. It doesn't really look like a stark contrast off camera, but it might look like it's to you guys a really different color. But it's actually really nice in person. So I do have some discoloration on my forehead from past breakouts, and I'm really curious to see how well this covers everything. So I will say this, a little bit, you guys, goes a long way. That pump that I showed you is pretty much covering my whole face. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna go over a few more areas. I'm gonna get a bit more So I do have like that discoloration on my forehead, so I'm just gonna go over it a little bit more just to see, you know, if it will cover it up. And then going in on my neck. So far my first impression is that it's good. I will say though, because I feel like I'm particularly oily today, I can already tell it does look oily. You know what I mean? Like my face just still does. It's not like a mattifying, or for me particularly right now, it's not a very mattifying foundation. Like I would definitely say, if you're gonna use this, set it. Unless, you know, you've got like that dry skin, then, you know, don't. But I think if you have anywhere from like normal to oily, set that bitch real quick. All right, looking good so far, I think. So I'm not gonna add anything else to my face. I just kind of wanna like talk about how everything looks. I think it's got like a really luminous, like a dewy kind of finish to it, you know what I mean? Like I said, it's not mattifying. I still feel like I'm a little bit oily right now, and if that's the way I feel like right at the beginning after I put it on, you know it's gonna be like so oily after like 6 hours. So I do like it though. I feel like it does a really good job of blurring the imperfections, you know, especially like in my forehead area. Now there's some areas that I would actually, you know, cover a little bit with concealer just because they're like darker scars on my face. But I think for anything light imperfections, it's not going to show through. You know, even though I do have like a little bit of some bumps, like texture bumps over here, you know, I don't feel like that's really visible on camera or like off unless you're like really in my face, you know what I mean? Yes, so like I would say beautiful. I would say it probably took me about a pump to 2 pumps to cover the face and also get that neck area. So it will definitely last you a while. I do love this actual pump right here. And I thought that this brush did a particularly great job of spreading everything out. Now, because it's like habit for me, I am gonna go in with my beauty blender and just kind of like, you know, extra blend, just because I love doing that. Okay, so everything looks good. I'm just going to set this with a little bit of my powder, and I'm using the Makeup Forever Pro Finish powder, and it's basically in my skin tone. It just looks, okay, it's basically in my skin tone. It just looks like this, and like I said, really light dusting. I'm not going heavy today on the makeup, just because I want a more natural look. And I can already tell this is doing wonders for just the oiliness. Okay, so now that I've done the, that setting of my liquid foundation, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the rest of my makeup off camera, and then I'll be back to kind of like give you guys my first impressions, and then I'll keep checking in with you guys every few hours. And I think I'm gonna do like a total of like 6 hours and just kind of see what the wear looks like at the end of the day, all right? Okay guys, so now I'm back, and it's about, let's see, 5:20 p.m. My full face is on, and I didn't put setting spray because I really wanted to test and see how long this bad boy would last. So I'm gonna be back in about 2 hours and just kind of check in with you guys and let you know how everything went. All right. Hey guys, so it is almost 8 o'clock, and I really still love the way this foundation looks. Still nice and glowy, but without looking oily, you know what I mean? And I'm actually really glad that I did set this with powder, because I think if I didn't, it just probably would have not looked as on point as it does now. And also, a little side note, I know this is totally off topic, but check out this highlight. This is from the Anastasia Glow Kit. super, super bomb. But I will just head out, do some other things, and then I'll be back to check in with you guys in a few more hours. So it is a little bit after 11:30, and I've been wearing this foundation for, let's see, a little over 6 hours, like 6 hours and 10-20 minutes. And I have found that, you know, like on camera, it still looks great. In pictures, it still looks beautiful. Now, I do like have a little bit of oil in my like T-zone, so my forehead and down the center of my nose, but it's nothing to be particularly troubled about. If you're someone who does touch up their makeup a little bit throughout the day, then this is definitely a foundation that's still great. Now, I have noticed that it has settled a bit into the fine lines around like my mouth area, my smile lines, but it doesn't really like look that bad, I would say. And it still does look very glowy. So on camera, it does look really, really lovely. And I love that. In person, it still looks great. Like I said, I do notice that it does settle around my fine lines, and I do have that oily T-zone, but that could be taken care of with a little bit of like some blotting paper, or also just setting it a little bit more with some powder. But so overall, I wanted to give you guys my final thoughts about the foundation. In regards to whether it holds up to its promises, I do think it's about medium, you know, to like light coverage. I don't think that it's full coverage. I definitely had foundations that are more, you know, full coverage than this particular one. Now, it is very lightweight, I would say, and it is long wearing. I think that for having it on for 6 hours, now I didn't, you know, sweat through it or anything like that, or test the whole waterproofness, but I think that it does look remarkably well, especially on camera. If you're somebody that takes a lot of pictures, or you want to wear this out to an event where you're going to be photographed a lot, this is definitely a wonderful foundation. It doesn't have SPF in it, as far as I can tell. Yeah, it doesn't say that on the label at all. So you aren't going to get that like awkward white cast, you know, like flashback on it. That's just not very flattering on many skin tones. So I would say that I love this foundation. I think for my own personal use, I would wear it not for a full like all day, but maybe like put it on right as I'm about to go out for an event. Because for me, I just don't like having my T-zone be any kind of oily at all. Like on camera, it doesn't look that bad, but in person, I'm looking at the mirror and I can just be like, ooh, like I just want to like blot some stuff. But if you're definitely into the dewy foundation look and you have drier skin, I think that's awesome. Now, I do have sensitive skin, and you know, anything, the smallest thing can just like set my skin off. So, you know, I would say that this foundation has been more comfortable. This foundation has been more comfortable to wear. Now, I do find in the last hour that I feel like parts of my skin are itchy, and I'm not sure if that's just the foundation or some of the other things that I've tried, because I have incorporated some new products recently, but I will keep you guys updated because I don't really think it's the foundation. But I do think that the overall look is very beautiful, and I think that this is a wonderful foundation. I'm not necessarily sure that it's good like all day. Like, you definitely couldn't not set this and then keep it on for 8 hours unless you have a very dry skin. And so anyone from the normal to oily spectrum, definitely you need to set it. You need to maybe have some blotting papers around, but like I said, it's not so drastic that you feel like you wouldn't want to have this foundation. You know what I mean? Like, it's just easy to put up with. But yeah, so those are my overall feelings. And if you guys have any other questions about this foundation, please put them down below in the description box. And yeah, that's about it. Don't forget, smash that like button and subscribe if you aren't a member of the tribe already. I will see you guys in the next one. I love you guys.